Welcome back. The December 2025 Household Affordability Index offered a mix of cautious optimism and a clear indication that economic pressures persist. Well, based on the monitoring of 44 basic food items across 47 markets and 32 butcheries in urban centres, ranging from Soweto in Johannesburg to Springbok in the Northern Cape, the report shows that the average cost of the household food basket declined to 5,333 Rand 45 cents. Now, this marks a month-to-month drop of 80 Rand 8 cents, equivalent to a 1.5% decrease compared with the November average. Year on year, the figure has decreased by 49 Rand 93 cents, down 0.9%. Now, of the 44 tracked items this month, 18 saw price increases, while 26 items saw prices decline. I'm now joined by Mervyn, the program coordinator for the Pietermaritzburg Economic and Justice Dignity Group. Thank you so much for your time. And it's a crucial piece of information as well as data that's coming through in regards to the household index. And I'm also very interested to know of these 44 basic food items. I understand that 18 of those foods increased in price, 26 of them declined. What are these individual foods and these items, and how are they affecting households?
So good afternoon, Veronica, and good afternoon to all your listeners. So, if we could just backtrack one bit. As you said, we have seen the price of basic foods in our index decrease over a couple of months now. And in fact, it is at probably its lowest it has been over the last year, which in itself is good news, that prices are coming down. And so we've seen, for instance, prices coming down on some of our basic core foods. So like maize meal, we've seen price come down by about 7% over the last year. We've seen rice decrease by about 22%. We've seen flour decrease by about 5%. Eggs we have seen decrease by about 16%. So those are all good news. However, there are still worrying trends, and those persist with regard to foods such as cooking oil, which we see continues to increase. It has increased by about 2% year on year. Chicken pieces have continues to increase about 4% because chicken is so widely eaten in South Africa. Our beef prices, even though it has come down month by month by 1%, we expect that it will continue to increase. We expect that this month-on-month decline are retailers trying to get their stock out over this festive season. But because foot and mouth disease continue to persist over wide parts of the country, we continue to think that beef prices will continue to increase. And currently it's standing at about 22% increase when we look year on year. So good news, but also a little bit of a worrying trend with some of the other foods. And then, Veronica, when we come to issues like cost of living and affordability questions, then the story is not as rosy as the food price drop. Because whilst we have seen prices drop in terms of food prices, at the same time we have seen massive escalation in terms of administered prices. So by that I mean things like electricity, increase of about 12 to 15%. We have seen increases in municipal services across the country's municipalities, on average increasing their services by something like 10%. So whilst households are saving on food prices, they are spending more on these administered prices, and so they are not feeling that they are having a break at all. In fact, in many households, the situation has only gotten worse, even though food prices have come down.
Certainly, and that was going to definitely be the next conversation, to say, are we feeling these month-on-month declines meaningfully in households? And if you take what the data says, if a worker is earning about 4,600 Rand a month, the food basket alone costs way more than that. And considering those factors you've mentioned, transport, electricity, is food spending no longer a choice, but rather a sacrifice?
Yes, and so what we are finding is that households continue to eat below their nutritional needs because they have to pay for all these other costs that are massively increasing beyond CPI. And in particular, we are talking about electricity prices and municipal prices because transport prices fluctuate as the fuel price fluctuate. And of course, fuel prices is totally outside of our control. So really what we have to do going into 2026 is we have to ensure that we keep administered price increases within and below the CPI inflation rate. Only then will households begin to experience that they are beginning to get a break, as we say.
And as we head into 2026, these figures tell us that perhaps it is a bit of a grim picture for South African households. How do we keep our heads above the pressure, the financial pressure, going into 2026?
So I think it's important that households spend wisely if they do have money. Unfortunately, most households don't have any extra, but that they spend it very wisely. Because let's remember that January is a particularly bad month for most households when children return back to school, school uniforms, school shoes, extra school bags, books, etc. So that takes a massive amount of resources away from other household needs. And so households need to spend very, very carefully during this, festive season. And keep in mind the extra cost that January bring. However, Veronica, we do expect that food prices will continue its decline or stabilization because we've had very good rains over large parts of South Africa. The most worrying trends for us going into 2026 is to see what will come out of Eskom's tariff increases and municipal tariff increases, because that could make or break households going forward.
Mervyn Abrahams, of course, from the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group. Thank you very much for your time.